Dementia Researcher with a blog and a rating.
Hello, my name is Ajantha Abey. I am a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Oxford, and today I'm reading my blog Research Life Hacks, Things I Wish I had started at the beginning of my PhD. Part 2. In part 1 of this blog series, I wrote about concrete quote-unquote lab hacks, systems I implemented or wish I had implemented that make doing major projects like a PhD, especially wet lab-based projects, especially those involving cells, much easier to manage. I discussed experiment numbering, the best way to use reference managers, file naming, consistent terminology use, and the beauty of a good spreadsheet, and more. Scintillating topics all. In part 2, there is yet more. These bigger picture and not necessarily related to your experimental work, but in some cases more about your attitude and mindsets to adopt from the outset. These continue to be the genre of things that take time and effort but will pay off in the end, or you'll come to wish you had done if neglected. Item number 7, then, continuing on from the last blog, is document your thought processes, not just your results. Most lab books and research notes are good at recording what happened in an experiment, but few are good at recording why they happened or what happened in between all the different experiments. This is a problem because the why is often what you need later. Why did you change the protocol? Why did you exclude that sample? Why did you choose that concentration? Why did you stop pursuing that aim? Why did you switch tack and go in a different direction? What evidence did you rely on to make particular choices? Why did you believe that this experiment answered that question? At the time, these decisions feel obvious. Later, though, they don't. Later, you may find yourself staring at an old data set, wondering why you even did it in the first place. Document the reasoning, not in huge essays necessarily, just short notes. Using 10 micromolar because experiment pilot 17 showed toxicity at 20 micromolar. Excluding sample B3 because cell count was unusually low after plating, and imaging showed widespread debris. Switching antibody lot after high background in experiment 28 and 29. Decided not to pursue this analysis further because effect disappears after normalizing to cell number. Based on 10-2010, Smith 2011, and Kelly 2012, decided to stimulate using TARDIS rather than DALEK. These notes are invaluable because they help with writing your methods and results, and they help with troubleshooting, and they help when supervisors ask why something was done, and they help when it's 3 years on the track and you're trying to work out why you did something the way you did it. Item number 8 is to keep a list of ideas in one place. This is related to documenting thought processes, but slightly different. I wish I had kept a more centralized running log of ideas, directions, and unanswered questions from the start. A PhD generates a lot of ideas, and ideally a lot of data, and can never answer all the questions it comes up with. Some are good, some are bad, some you will use, some you won't. Some are good but impractical, some are suggested by supervisors, some by lab mates, some by conference talks, by on papers, by staring into the middle distance while looking for a centrifuge. Write them all down. Saving a list of ideas for later will be super helpful if the opportunity ever comes to write a pilot grant, supervise a student, or become a postdoc. Or you hit a dead end in your research and need to go back to a saved checkpoint. Also include decisions not to do things. Number 9 is to build relationships before you need them. Not everything useful in a PhD looks productive in a narrow sense. Getting coffee with someone, chatting after a seminar, going to departmental events, asking a postdoc about their project, or having lunch with people from a different lab can feel like time away from the quote-unquote real work. This pays off in the long run, though. Research is social. Ideas, opportunities, collaborations, jobs, references, troubleshooting advice, and the emotional survival all depend on relationships. You do not want the first time you talk to someone to be when you desperately need their protocol, their equipment, their level of support, or their career advice. Spend time getting to know people, not in a cynical, networking, LinkedIn kind of way, but in an earnest, generous, and curious kind of way. Ask people what they work on, ask how they got there, ask what they wish they had known, ask for advice before you need urgent help. This is particularly valuable early in a PhD when you may feel like you not have much to offer yet. In reality, you do. You have enthusiasm, you have curiosity, time, and a fresh perspective. You are also building the relationships that will make the rest of the PhD easier and more enjoyable. The person you head to at a seminar might later help with a method. The postdoc you ask for advice might later tell you about a job. The student you meet at a local conference might become a collaborator. The technician you take the time to know properly may save you from making an expensive mistake. These connections can help you write grants that you need collaborators for, can write reference letters for jobs, can become mentors, and so on. Number 10, similarly, is go to conferences from the start, especially small and local ones. Big international conferences are exciting, overwhelming, expensive, and definitely worth going to, but small local meetings are also underrated. Even if you do not have much to present, small meetings can be good to simply go to for experience, practice, and ideas. Small meetings are generally lower stakes, they are cheaper, you can present plans, early data, half-formed ideas, pilot experiments, or method development work. You can get used to explaining your project, answering questions, and seeing which parts people find interesting or find difficulty understanding. You can also learn what other people nearby are doing, which is often surprisingly useful. At the start of a PhD, it's easy to think that conferences are only for people with polished results. This is not true. Conferences are for getting ideas, understanding the field, meeting people, finding out what techniques exist, and discovering that everyone else's projects are also messier than their abstracts suggest. Small meetings are particularly good for building confidence. Asking a question in a room of 40 people is less intimidating than asking one in a room of 400. Presenting a poster to local researchers is good preparation for presenting to international experts, and it also gives you something to put on your CV. It is not the main reason to do it, but it's not nothing either. Don't make your first conference be a high-stakes meeting with thousands of people which you're not prepared for. 11 is to say yes and do the random side things. During a PhD, there will be opportunities to do things that are not directly your project. Teaching, public engagement, public committees, student societies, outreach events, writing, peer mentoring, organizing seminars, helping at conferences, assisting on panels, and so on. It's easy to dismiss these as distractions, and sometimes they can be. You should not say yes to everything, and you should not let side quests become the main quest. But I do think it is worth doing some, or really a lot of them, especially early on. First of all, they help you develop skills your project may not. Teaching improves your ability to explain ideas. Public engagement helps you communicate clearly and remember why the work matters. Organizing committees teaches you how an institution functions and helps you meet people. And organizing events gives you project management experience. Writing helps you think. Mentoring helps you become a better colleague. These also give you exposure and help you network. People get to know you and know your work, and you get to know them and the environment around you. Endless opportunities in the forms of jobs, collaborations, and otherwise can arise from these. You also find out what you enjoy and what you absolutely don't enjoy, which can help in settling your thinking about your longer-term career path. I know a student who got a position from chatting to someone who asked a good question after a seminar. Third, they also help your CV. If you apply for postdocs, fellowships, teaching roles, or funding, or jobs outside academia, it helps to have evidence that you can do more than your narrow experimental project. A PhD can go by quickly, and by the end, you may not have the time or energy to suddenly build a record of teaching, outreach, leadership, and engagement from scratch. Being able to evidence your ability to communicate, to engage with the public, to work with other people is essential in all manner of professional domains. Finally, these things can make the PhD more enjoyable. Research can be slow and frustrating. Side activities often provide more immediate forms of meaning, feedback, and human interaction. Sometimes helping a student understand something, or talking to the public about dementia research, or organizing an event can be exactly the thing that reminds you why you like science in the first place. The final point, number 12, is to think about life after the PhD from the beginning. This is very much related to the above, but involves a more concrete strategic thinking. This does not mean you need to have a 10-year plan in your first year. In fact, having a rigid 10-year plan may be actively unhelpful because you will change and the field will change. But you should start paying attention early. What do people from your lab go on to do? What does a postdoc actually involve? What skills are needed in industry? What does a fellowship application look like? Do you enjoy teaching? Do you like coding? Do you like writing? Do you like managing projects? Do you like bench lab work? Do you like data analysis? Do you like talking to patients or the public? Do you want to stay in academia at all? These questions don't need immediate answers. We should try and find ways of gathering data about them and exploring them along the way. Thinking about life after the PhD early helps you make better decisions during it. If you might want to apply for fellowships, you might need evidence of independence, publications, collaborations, and funding. If you want to teach, get teaching experience. If you might want to move into industry, learn what skills are valued there. If you want to leave research entirely, talk to people who have done so and find out what helped them transition. It's much easier to explore possibilities in first or second year than in the final months when you are writing your thesis, applying for jobs, worrying about money, and wondering whether transferable skills includes the ability to troubleshoot why your cells keep dying without spiraling out. It also gives you a lot more time to dabble and then build up the track record that you need for jobs after your PhD. Final thoughts. I will reiterate what I said at the end of part 1. Most of this advice is not super exciting, unless, like me, you really enjoy spreadsheets. It does take a bunch of time and effort and won't save you from failed experiments. However, good systems make life easier in the long run, and PhDs are a marathon. They protect you from your own forgetfulness, they make your work reproducible, they make your writing easier, and your planning more realistic, and your future self less lost and confused. The beginning of a PhD is the best time to put these systems into place because you still have the time to be able to be consistent from the beginning. Everything is still relatively clean, the folders are empty, the samples don't exist, and the lab book is not yet a dense forest of abbreviations. So, if you can't start at the beginning, however, the best time is yesterday, the second best time is today. Set up a numbering system, use the reference manager, make the spreadsheets, write the templates, keep the notes, track the samples, back up the files, go to the small meetings, get to know people, say yes to a few useful side quests. Think a little about your future. Taking the time is worth it. The work now, when time is cheap, will save you effort when time is short and is scrambling to finish. The person you will be 3 or 4 years from now, trying to write a thesis, trying to finish a paper, trying to respond to reviewers and apply for jobs, and work out what on earth happened in Experiment 17 many years ago, will thank you. Make the current you the sort of person that future you will be grateful for. And good luck.
Thank you for listening. Join the Dementia Research bloggers and share your own views.